Welcome to The Wrap. I'm Oliver Rennick, here to take you through this week's closing action. Stocks rallied on Friday despite a disappointing consumer sentiment report from the University of Michigan. The S&P gained over 2% a day after entering correction territory. With the Nasdaq and Russell also up over 2%, the Dow gaining 1.5%, it wasn't enough to tourniquet the bleeding from the previous 4 days. It was another loss on the week for the S&P 500, the fourth in a row. Let's take a look at what worked and what didn't on the sector side. Energy up more than 2.5%. Staples lost a good bit. Discretionary and comms as well. Staples lost 4%, but it was kind of a hint maybe that the market was ready to turn. Let's talk about some of the big movers. As tech firmed up in the middle of the week, Apple was not part of it. Shares fell over 10% and hit a 6-month low as it saw delays in its promised Siri AI updates for the iPhone. Citi and Morgan Stanley both lowered their expectations for iPhone sales this year. Wedbush's Dan Ives said it could push 10 million iPhone deliveries into the next fiscal year. And shares of major U.S. airliners struggled throughout the week. American, United, and Delta all saw declines of at least 10%. Delta slashed its first quarter EPS and revenue growth forecast in half. And Fortune reported that the number of Americans planning vacations in the next 6 months is at a 15-year low. On the flip side, Intel finally decided to make some moves. It was the best performer in the S&P 500, adding 17% as it named Lip-Bu Tan its new CEO and saw its best day of gains in 5 years. The chipmaker stock is still down almost half from its high over the last year and has remained near the 14-year low it hit in September. Let's talk about next week. It should be a big one. Can tech continue the strength that it showed on Friday? And what will the Fed indicate in its outlook for the economy, inflation, and cuts that now the bond market is looking for more of? We will get retail sales as well as, of course, the weekly jobless claims. Earnings are not going to be terribly exciting, but we do have Micron, which is up on the year. Maybe it'll pull an Intel and wake up from its long-term slumber. That'll do it for The Wrap. Remember to tune in 24/7 to schwabnetwork.com.